Hello, my name is Wesley Neves. I'm one of the owners of Seven Trees Company. We've been in business for almost 50 years. We specialize in the professional pruning and care of trees. I'm a certified arborist. I'm a member of the International Society of Arboriculture. But more importantly, I have over 27 years experience in the tree care industry. We would like to start a series of instructional videos on how to properly prune and care for trees. Today, we'd like to just talk about some of the tools that we use in professional tree care. Displayed on the table before me are many of the tools that we use to properly prune and care and even remove trees. And I'd like to talk about a few of those things today. The very first thing we need to address is safety. And there's very few things more important than a hard hat, a good, well-made hard hat. This hard hat has saved me a lot of aches and pains. And I've been hit in the head a lot of times, and thanks for this hard hat, it saved my life. Next, we have the safety glasses. Safety glasses are very important. The hard hat and safety glasses are actually required by OSHA. And if you're doing any kind of tree care, any kind of pruning or removing of trees, you need to have both the safety glasses and the hard hat. Next, we move on to the gloves. I have a lot of my guys that work for me who actually don't use gloves, but I really can't hardly do anything without my gloves. Gloves are very important. One of the other tools that we require our guys to use are earplugs as they're handling chainsaws, as they're also around chippers and so forth. We require that they should use the earplugs. What we have over here are the chainsaw shafts. I've actually modified these slightly and put some leather sides on them to give them some extra protection. And so these are the chainsaw shafts. The one thing they also do as well is they keep your pants clean and actually give your pants more life. Obviously, we have the chainsaws. We have a few different kinds here. We have Stihl. Stihl makes a really good big chainsaw and a nice smaller chainsaw. They're medium-sized chainsaws. We found we haven't had a whole lot of good luck with those. This right here is an Echo. Our standby chainsaw years ago was the Shindawa. The only thing is that Shindawa actually quit making their chainsaws. They have teamed up with Echo, and so now Echo is in partnership with Shindawa. Now they have a pretty good medium-sized saw that we use. If you're dealing with chainsaws at all, obviously you need to have a saw wrench, or as people call a scrinch, to do service, change the bar, change the blade, do this kind of some routine service on your chainsaws. Along with the chainsaws, you need to have a couple of good files. The files will vary depending on the size of chainsaw you have. And we'll actually talk about sharpening and care of chainsaws in another a future video. On this table right here, we have presented a few of the tools that we use to prune the trees and to care for the trees. Obviously right here in the front we have the lopper. Also this is a bypass lopper. The bypass lopper is that actually the blade will actually bypass the lower jaws. And the difference is they have a lopper that's called an anvil lopper, will smash or cut the limb, but it smashes into the anvil, and I never like those. They kind of squish the limb. So the best loppers to get are the bypass loppers and also the bypass pruners, which we have down here. These are both made by Corona. All the stuff you see right here is pretty quality stuff. The saws are the hand saws we have right here are Silky. They're an extremely well-made brand. The saws are sharp. They have a little hook on the end, which is good for getting out dead wood and so forth. Very handy, well-made saw. All my guys love these Silky chainsaws. They are expensive, and so one person has to consider when you're purchasing something like this that you are purchasing some quality. This stuff right here you can't get at Home Depot. The Corona pruners and the loppers, you can get those at Home Depot. However, this size of Corona loppers, you can't buy those at Home Depot. You have to actually special order these. They do have some there at Home Depot you can get, but they're a lot shorter, and my guys just don't like those. Yeah, these are some other Corona ones right here. Those are metal, last a lot longer. However, they're not too fun to use around the power lines. You have the pole saw. Our pole saw, this is actually a pole pruner. It has a pole pruner head. You can switch those out and put the pole saw head on it. These are good to use on limbs that are out of reach. The only problem I found with this, oftentimes guys will begin to rely on their pole saws and their pole loppers to reach up into the tree rather than getting up into the tree and actually pruning the tree as it should be done. These pole loppers and pole saws have their place. However, you got to be careful how you use them. You don't want to get too lazy and be using them when you should be up climbing the tree. Last thing I want to talk about just briefly is what we have right here, and this is the climbing belt. And of course you have the climbing rope, and then you have the lanyard. Now these tools help you to access the upper canopy of the trees, especially large trees. If the only thing, just because you have a belt, just because you have a rope, just because you have a lanyard, does not automatically give you the knowledge and the know-how and the savvy to climb up in these big tall trees and to prune them. These should be used by the professional. One of the things about the tools is the tools are only as good as you care for them. If you don't care for your tools when it comes time to use them, they're not going to work for you right. One example on these hand trimmers, these Corona little hand pruners, these are the 3/4 inch, by the way. They do offer a 1 inch. I've never really liked the 1 inch size because the 1 inch seems to be a little bit cumbersome, and I just like the 3/4 inch size a little bit better. These pruners, they have a little wire catch on them. And this is important because what happens a lot of times is people will leave this wire catch out as they're using it. And then as they're using the pruners, they'll actually bend the wire catch, and then it prevents the pruners from closing properly. And that's how they should be stored. The handsaw, the silky handsaw, it can be sharpened with a small file. However, sometimes, a lot of times after they become dull, it seems to be just as easy to go ahead and just buy another one. What I like to do at this point is take the handsaw, the hand pruners, and the loppers and go over and give a brief demonstration about how to properly use these tools. One of the critical factors to pruning trees is using the efficient use of your time. As you can see, my hands are full with the tools that I have, and so I don't want to just throw these down on the ground as I'm pruning. I mean, throwing these down one time may not hurt it, but throwing down over and over and over again eventually will dull the tools and damage them. And not only that, it really takes a lot of time to bend over and pick up the tools. And so I always like to have the tools at easy access when I'm working with them. For example, with my loppers, I like to hang them into a tree. With my silky handsaw, I've got this here on my side. And with my hand pruners, oftentimes we'll put these just in my back pocket or a leather pouch that I have. And so I'd like to demonstrate just briefly about how you properly use these tools. Again, you want to make sure that you're using the tools under the right situation, right circumstances. So the first pruning cut, as I'm looking at this little maple tree right here, you can see it has some different issues. It was damaged at one time. You have some scars right here and a few limbs that simply just should come out. So starting with this limb right here, I'm going to use my silky handsaw and go ahead and take this limb out. This limb is growing into this other limb is cutting it out. It's been damaged, and so this limb just simply needs to come out. And usually what I do is I like to make that at an angle, and that way when the snow and everything and the rain falls on it, that sloughs off it, and it doesn't puddle right here and doesn't begin to rot. And so we'll go ahead and make that cut right now. One thing that's good about the handsaw, especially when you get a nice sharp handsaw like this one, is it doesn't peel the bark. You can go ahead and make that. In fact, you want to make sure that it doesn't peel the bark down, and make sure that final cut is done properly. With the loppers are handy because they give you a lot of force, but you can reach into areas that maybe you wouldn't be able to reach with either the handsaw or the hand pruners. And I'll make a couple little cuts here. Now this limb right here, you can see this is crossing over, is actually rubbing on the other limb. Just not doing anything. We'll go ahead and take out this little stub right here as well as this larger limb to kind of open that tree up, and then again take it away because it was rubbing on the other one. And with my hand pruners, these are designed to target those smaller limbs that are maybe, that just make it more convenient. Well, that'll probably do it for today. Thank you for watching. Obviously, there's a lot more involved with professional tree care, but please find us on our Facebook and Twitter. We also have a website, severntreescompany.com, where I have some other instructional videos to follow. Thank you and have a good day.